Sports Centre and Fight Night's very own star, Brian Schumacher. The big punching Liverpool light heavyweight has had all 6 professional fights screened on this programme, and he's won them all inside 4 rounds. Well, he tops the bill again and meets the experienced Jonjo Greene, who's had 34 paid fights.
I've been sparring with El Graham last week. I'm more experienced than Schumacher. I'm going to give him a run for his money. I'll give him a good fight tonight.
Well, Greene sounds confident enough, so how will Schumacher tackle the experienced Greene, and how long will it last? It's scheduled for 8 rounds, and your commentators, as usual, are Jim Watt and Reg Gutteridge.
So, well-known Shuey, as they call him now, Schumacher there, in the white trunks, looking for his 7th successive win against one of the most experienced men in the game, and a difficult southpaw at times, Jonjo Greene, who's prepared for this fight by sparring with Harold Graham down in Sheffield and apparently in Belfast, but now in Harold he probably hasn't been hitting too much in the last few weeks. So a bit of difference in the weight here, 5 pounds odd, 12.5 Schumacher, and Greene is 12.10. So Schumacher now the area champion now at light heavyweight. And the referee from Manchester is Ron Hackett. And in some ways we could be hoping that Schumacher has to go beyond the 4th round now to see how he gets on in the stamina stakes. Quite a thing, you know, to win 6 fights on the turn and none of them past the 4th round. But he was caught with very much a bolo punch by a Bermudan called Minnis last time up on Fight Night. In fact, all his fights have been seen on this show. Well, this looks like the first sort of touch of experience and the art of fiddling around for Schumacher in the pro ring, Jim.
Yeah, this is what's needed for Schumacher. He's had his own way most of his time, unloading some nice right hands here. But Greene's been around, he knows how to mess an opponent about, how to maul him and knock him out of his stride. He's trying to do that now, so it's a good little test for Schumacher.
Oh, well, Ron Hackett reminding him now that he wants it a little cleaner. It's a bit untidy in there. With a minute to go in the opening round. Certainly, as they say in the fight trade, bang a bit, Schumacher. Those long punches, you've got to look for those. And when he gets them flowing and hurts the opposition, he does it well. Right now it's a question of testing his chin and stamina. It's getting very untidy now. Hackett's got to get in there and try and clean this up a little bit. A lot of mauling close in. Pity as we get the last 10 of the opening round. Well, he's unloading a bit too late at the end of this round, and he's missed a bit too, Schumacher. And there's the all-win record then of Brian Schumacher with Ernie Fossey in the corner on the outside of the ropes, Jimmy Timp, both from London, although of course Schumacher from Liverpool. But he's now with the Frank Warren cab. Here's Jonjo Greene now, as I say, 34 fights. He carries 6 years as a professional as well, and was the All-Ireland heavyweight champion in Killarney, but I think only in Ireland could they run a championship over 8 rounds. Second round then of the scheduled 8, and I think we've seen enough, Jim, in 3 minutes to say that if Greene, as they say, fancies this fight a little bit. He's going to give Schumacher a little bit of experience now. Good straight punches by Schumacher, though.
I think Greene has made his mind up it's going to be an untidy affair. Whenever he gets close to Schumacher, he's pushing himself right up against Schumacher, not giving him any room to throw punches. A good shot from Schumacher there.
I think maybe Schumacher learned a lesson with the last one when Minnis hit him on the chin most unexpectedly. He's got to realise that although he's a good puncher himself, he's got to slip punches as well. But there you are, as the former captain of Britain's Olympic team in Los Angeles. He should know a bit about the game at that level. And in fact, Jonjo Greene had no notable amateur career at all. He believed in doing it for money. One bit of form really, Jim, on Greene's record. He took Tony Wilson of Wolverhampton the distance at Wembley, and I thought that was a very good performance because he's a good puncher, Wilson. Strangely enough, well, he's not from the same camp, but one of Schumacher's seconds now is managing Wilson, Jimmy Tibbs. Just got to learn a bit more accuracy, Schumacher. Now, he's done that. He missed with a bad one and hit with two straight right-hand punches. Sorry, Jim, it's going to be difficult to get this out of being untidy, really, isn't it? Now?
Yeah, well, I was just about to say that. It's difficult to keep yourself tidy when an opponent's bullying you around the ring. Really, a jab and a grab sort of style. Schumacher's just trying to pot shot with the one right. I see a little bit of illegal head work going on now. They're both at it. They're both banging heads together now. I think a little bit of needles creeping in. But it's difficult for Schumacher because Greene is really bullying into him all the time.
I tell you what, I think old Jonjo fancies, you know, upsetting the odds a bit here with the Liverpool favourite. Yes, I thought maybe Ron Hackett would lay into Mr. Greene a bit more.
See, Schumacher must find a way to give himself some punching room. He can't just stand on the ropes and allow Greene to bull him. He's going to have to step back and maybe catch him with some counters on the way in. If he stands his ground, Greene's just bullying him.
And there's the form guide then for Schumacher. He's no chicken in the game at 26. In fact, he's 2 years older than Jonjo Greene, who seems to have been around forever in the pro game. Now, that was because he was serving in the Royal Navy then as a diver, but he's certainly not that in the pro boxing ring. Lost to Virgil Hill in the Olympics, the American. Jonjo Greene, as I say, he was Irish. Actually won the heavyweight championship as well of Ireland in a mere 8-rounder. There's the new manager, I think, Jack Trickett. He hasn't had him in the whole of his career on the outside of the ropes. Born in Lithgow, actually. Very much a Manchester lad. Round 3 of the main event then, here at Oldham. And the crowd have done well to brave the elements, I'll tell you that, to come out there. And they've got a lot of enthusiasm, too.
Greene's very dangerous with the head here. Look what his head is. Yeah, that's very dangerous stuff from Greene.
Well, the referee's warned him enough, Jim. It'd be a pity to spoil what looks like being certainly a lively fight anyway, with a disqualification for illegal head work. I think Schumacher might start punishing Greene for coming in at him square on like that, using the right hand uppercut. Oh, it's getting really rough in there. The referee's got to get really strict with these two, and I should say in particular Greene, actually.
Well, Schumacher just landed 3 good right hands. It looked to me as though he was getting on top, and then Jonjo come back with a good left hand and shoot Schumacher a little bit. So plenty of action anyway.
above us here, almost like watching a couple of wrestlers above the commentary position. And,
Schumacher actually lunged at Greene with his head there. This is really a needle is creeping in here.
What a rough fight this is. Looks to me they should issue them with head guards the way it's going. Jim, I've got a feeling this could finish up with a disqualification.
Well, the only way I don't think that'll happen is the fact that they're both at it. It's not just one culprit, they're both there. That was really blatant, the way Schumacher lunged at Greene with his head. But I think it's because he's been taking so much from Greene. See, even now, look at the way Greene's rubbing his forehead in there. Now, this is terrible. This is no use at all.
Ridiculous, really, because one or both could be cut, actually.
So Schumacher will have to find a way to give himself some punching room. He's a better boxer than Greene, but he's standing there allowing Greene to bull him into the ropes all the time. He's trying to do it the hard way and blast him back, but he should maybe use some of his boxing ability.
The referee at least right on top of them, trying to encourage them to get away from this unnecessary rough stuff, actually. There it is, using his weight as well, Hackett. Well, they'll finish up with 2 falls and a submission if this gets up. Have a look at some replay there, Jim. It's one section of the rough stuff against there. There it is. It really is a bumping and boring job, isn't it? It's almost like a snooker match the way they're hitting each other.
Second round, round 4.
Round 4 then of this light heavyweight. I think we'll call it clash because that seems to be what's happened here. It's one of the roughest kind of fights I've seen for a while anyway. And we'll see now if Jonjo can take him past the 4th round. Final warning, he made it very clear there, Hackett. You could read the lips very easily, I'm sure. We could hear it at ringside. And I fear the worst here, Jim.
Yeah, well, he hasn't even been trying to disguise the head work. He's just been bullying right in and putting his forehead right in the centre of Schumacher's face. But I'm disappointed a little bit in Schumacher because he hasn't used his box. This is better now. He's giving himself a bit of room, getting the punches off before Greene gets close. This is what's required. There's no use waiting until Greene's on top of him. He has to get his punches off a split second quicker and catch Greene on the way in.
It looks as though the cornermen were saying that between rounds to Schumacher. Give yourself a bit of room. Now, will he go past the 4th round or not? Schumacher, you never know. To be fair, he hasn't looked like getting Greene over. A lot of support here, Jonjo Greene. I hope he's heeded the referee's warning there a little bit, Jonjo Greene, because it could really, the second half of the fight could be a lively one. And he does look a bit more hesitant as he comes in now, Greene, Jim.
Yeah, well, another little bit of head work there. I don't know if it was intentional or not. See, the trouble with Schumacher being drawn into this kind of fight, he's not used to that, and he's using up a lot of energy for no result. He's going to end up running out of steam here because it has been untidy, but he's been under pressure all the time. This is better. See, as soon as they get some punching room, out come the good punches. This is better from Schumacher now. And now Jonjo reminding Schumacher that he isn't finished.
and threw quite a hurtful looking punch back when Schumacher was looking on top there. Inside the last half minute of the fourth, and looks big odds now that Schumacher's going to go into professionals unknown territory for him, the 5th round. Well, somebody's pumped old Jonjo up to come and have a fight because he's been on a bit of a losing roll. Schumacher gesturing there to his cornerman that the other man was using his head. Let's have a look at that. The long right hands in the replay there of Schumacher coming in, but of course Greene tried to smother his attacks the whole time. You can see it there. You see going in, holding, roughing up, doing anything that'll succeed. Round 5. Whoop, almost before the bell had died away there. But there you are, the referee waved play on, so Schumacher was in order there. But I think that highlights the needle in the contest anyway. So first time for Schumacher to go past the 4th anyway. And his stamina may well be tested by this fella, because he makes the opposition work hard. A good fight on the Fight Night show at Manchester when he lost on 10 rounds to Antonio Harris. Greene. As you say, Jim, earlier, that it's going to test Schumacher's stamina, and I sometimes have some doubts about that.
Yeah, well, he's never needed stamina as yet, but I think he's going to need it tonight. That was another silly thing. Schumacher did something similar in his last fight. Just seemed to lose concentration and his mind wandered off elsewhere. He's done it again here. I don't know what's in his mind when this happens.
He's actually looking down, would you believe this, and saying something to his manager, Frank Warren, at ringside there. Well, I know he does impersonations of Russ Abbott, but that's going a bit too strong while he's fighting. Well, he's holding on there, Jonjo, and Schumacher trying to hit him with the right hand instead. Must be a very frustrating man to fight, Greene, Jim.
Yeah, well, he's awkward. This is the way he performs all the time. He has this down to a fine art, if that's the correct word to use. But it's difficult for Schumacher. He's always been under pressure, never had a lot of punching room. A difficult night's work for him.
Greene pressing the whole time, but Schumacher doesn't mind backing off like that. He uses the ropes a little bit as a catapult when he can, but he's showing a few signs of frustration nonetheless. And Frank Warren there really calling all the orders out that he can from close in to Schumacher. So we go then for a break, but we'll be back with more action with this fight. Into round 7 then of this light heavyweight scrap. And just to recap, in the white trunk, the unbeaten Brian Schumacher from Liverpool and Jonjo Greene of Manchester. And the ex-sailor nicknamed there Shuey, as you can see on the trunks, has found it a little bit hard going. Jim Watt and I have him in front because of the cleaner hitting. It's all the spoiling stuff has been coming from Jonjo Greene, but he's got a big enough heart, that's for sure. And the referee has been quite rightly nagging him a bit for misuse of the head. But after what appeared to be a final warning, Greene has at least come around a bit and hasn't made it quite so blatant. Well, there's still a fair work rate coming from Schumacher, Jim, so maybe... He's having a laugh with the camera there, would you believe that? He's some actor, isn't he, Schumacher? Sticks some spurts of punches in Schumacher, but he's pinching those rests now, Jim. He's feeling the pace, eh?
Yeah, I'm thinking there's not too many people look good against Greene because of the tactics he always uses. But I'm a little bit disappointed. This is better now, just as I'm speaking from Schumacher. He's getting the punches off a little bit cleaner now, timing them a bit better, but he's always let Greene get far too close to him. He needs to find that little bit of punching range, throw the punches before Greene gets up close, as he's doing now.
Whatever happened to the old-fashioned straight left then, trying to keep the opposition at bay? It seems to be going out the game a bit. And Schumacher, when he wants to, can do that. Why does he turn his back on his opponent like that? It's absolutely crazy. There you are, that's part of his makeup.
Schumacher took a right hook from Greene there, just above us. I don't know if it shook him a little bit, but he acted very strangely as he walked away. I don't know if the punch shook him, if he lost his concentration. I don't quite know what happened there.
Well, whatever it is, it looks like Schumacher's managed to ride it all right.
You don't have to put too much in it as though you're going to bang them over.
Well, the replay there gives you an idea of some of the wrestling that went on, and as Jim Watt was saying, that was where he appeared to lose concentration a bit after being tagged by Greene.
Don't take your eyes off.
Second round, 8th and last round.
So the 8th and last round of what I can only describe as a very hectic light heavyweight scrap between Schumacher and Greene. And in terms of stamina and experience and roughness, it's been good for Schumacher, but I think he could do without too many like this, although he's well in front for me, Jim.
Yeah, he's always been the better boxer of the two. His technique, whenever they get a chance to use it, has always been better than anything Greene has had to offer. But it's been a tough night's work for him, but it's nice to be reminded early on in your career that it's not an easy game. They don't all fall down in front of you. A couple of little problems with his concentration. He'll have to work on that. I think he wants to showboat too often, carry on, put a smile on his face. It's a serious business, and I think he should keep that in mind at all times. But a worthwhile night's work anyway, if not a clean night's work.
Well, yes, he's a bit of a card outside the ring, Schumacher, so maybe He takes a bit of that inside, but he wants to get on with his boxing first and cut out the comedy.
He's been just a little bit right-hand happy all through tonight. He's been trying to bomb Greene out with one hit. He has boxing ability. I think it's a pity that in the first few rounds he didn't use his ability before the pace started to get to him, because for most of the way through it's been a brawl.
Well, I suppose Greene's southpaw stance actually has encouraged Schumacher to try the right hand as the counter punches. Well, if it helps, Jonjo certainly got the crowd on his side. And the referee had been understandably, sensibly tolerant now in the last few rounds after dishing out the warnings earlier. And a minute to go. And it really is turning a bit of a catch-as-catch-can now. That's tiredness as well, of course, is contributing to that. Not that it's altered that much during the fight, but obviously as the old limbs are starting to ache a bit, they hang on more. Good finish now by Schumacher. That's the way to do it. And full marks to him, Jim. He stayed the course well.
Yeah, well, it's been a pace all the way through. Schumacher has been put under pressure, but he's responded well. He hasn't had a chance to box cleanly, but he stuck to his guns and fired back all the way through. It's a nice performance to get behind you, I think.
So the countdown to the bell now. A fight with no knockdowns, but a whole lot of incidents, I must say. Oh. And it's too late there. He's walked straight over to the referee. There's some jeering there, but I'm afraid not justified on our cards, Jim.
No, I think Schumacher was a worthy winner, all right. His boxing was better all the way through. A lot of the rounds are pretty close, but I think the referees picked the right man, all right.
Gentlemen, please, ladies and gentlemen, your referee scored the contest. Schumacher, 80 points. Greene, 77. Schumacher, the winner.
Well, there it is, Jim. In fact, although there's been booing, he hasn't lost around 6 rounds and 4 even, you make that.
Jonjo Greene.
Well, Brian, welcome to 8 full rounds on the rough side of professional boxing.
Was it rough, wasn't it, Gary? Very rough. Got a sore eye with his head. His head was never on my face, but I learned a lot from that fight.
What did you learn?
I learned I've got to work and not lose my concentration. Lost my concentration so many times. As manager Frank Warren said to me, get down to the business. And it's just what I intend to do.
You've got to stop looking at him during fights. You nearly got caught there, trying to talk to him again. You did that in the last fight night.
I like him. I like him. But I've got to learn to keep my concentration.
We felt from the ringside, Brian, that you could have given yourself a bit more room for punching during that fight.
I could have, I suppose, but as I say, it comes with experience. I've had no sparring for that fight, except 2 rounds with a good mate of mine who's John Ireland. He's only a bantamweight, and that was just a technique for me.
So you go and get any sparring. This fella's been sparring and moving around the country. Wouldn't it be better going down to London where you could get some sparring?
I think that's my next move, actually. My manager Frank Warren's going to give me more stick than what he's given me tonight. I can tell you it's going to be right here rolling.
How shattered were you? You've never been 8 rounds before.
I'm not shattered. I could have gone on. You know, I worked hard.
Well, you're learning all the while. I mean, this was a very rough opponent tonight. What have you learned overall tonight, do you think?
Learn to use my head better than him. And I don't mean button-wise. I mean thinking, concentration, and button.
Just as I move on to your manager, I just want to ask you, because I'm going to ask Frank about it. How do you feel about not going for the British title at the moment? You've been withdrawn from the eliminators.
Frank Warren's my manager. He knows what's right for me. I'll leave my decision in his hands.
All right, but what do you feel about it?
I'm upset because I want to get to the top fast. But it'll come in good time, and he knows when.
Well, he says you've made the decisions. Of course you do, Frank. So why have you withdrawn him from the British eliminators?
Because I don't think Brian's got enough experience yet to go for a title. I think he needs a few more fights. He certainly proved that tonight. He won the fight. I think the referee lost a little bit of control of the fight, allowing too much holding, too much head work from Greene. You know, due respects to Greene, he put up a good fight. But you know, he's not ready for a title fight. When he's ready, we'll let him go. He's got a lot of learning to do, and he's got to stop looking at me outside the ring. I can't help him.
Well, plenty to ponder on then for Brian Schumacher, but we shouldn't forget, of course, that he still has an 100% unbeaten record. So too does another exciting newcomer.